So let's start with Rhiannon. Thank you very much for stepping up to do the presentation for us. I'll let you start, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm going to go ahead right away and share my screen. Just to give a thumbs up. Everybody see that? No problem. Yes. Awesome. So, unlike Michael, I have drank the whole Kool-Aid when it comes to AI, very specifically for business. And you'll see why as we go along. This particular presentation, though, is just the tip of the iceberg, very, very, very high level, just to give you a quick overview of what's happening and how you can use it in your business with not spending a whole lot of money and not going overboard and not getting bogged down in the minutia. Because the thing is with AI right now, because it is in its infancy, really, we're discovering every day there's a new app, every day there's something else to learn. So it's really right now just about picking and choosing the one or two, three things that really work for you and moving forward with them. So that's where we're going to start. But this is our presentation. We're going to run through this. This was all created on Canva using Magic with AI. So just so that you do know, what you see is an actual representation of that as well. You know me, I'm Rhiannon in the office and Personal Real Estate Corporation, of course. I've been in business for 13 and a half years. And one of the big things that I like to do is incorporate real awesome technologies in what I do, and it's how I deliver value for clients. And that's really what I see AI as. 2023 is 100% AI's breakout year. They are the darling of the ball right now. But what's really important is that businesses all around the world are recognizing that this isn't going away. This is something that you are going to have to incorporate to be able to drive business, to drive efficiencies as we move forward as well. And really, what it comes down to is that without embracing this stuff, you will be left behind in the dust because this is fast and furious. And we have an entire generation of real estate agents coming up behind us old guys who really, really find this stuff easy to integrate and understand its value. But very importantly, like I've just put up on the board here, so there are companies that have been reporting in Forbes, and they say that 80%, 86% of the companies claim that using AI in their business strategy is a top priority in 2023. So this is from last year, but this still rings true. 97% of business owners believe that Chat GPT will help their business. And I mean, I'm definitely a benefit of Chat GPT already, and we'll talk further about that in this presentation. And then 64% of businesses believe that AI will increase their overall productivity. And I think that number's a little bit low because they haven't discovered all of the things that AI can do for them and don't necessarily understand all of the value that you can get from it. But we'll go through some of this stuff. So, what is AI and why is it important for real estate agents? This is the key question. So, understanding what it is and how it benefits you. So, AI, straight up, it's a tool. And just like every other tool, when you use it correctly, yeah, you get massive bonuses from it. So, think of artificial intelligence like it's just like teaching computers to think and make decisions like humans do. So it's really good at taking a huge amount of data, a massive load of information, and distilling it down into one or two things very, very quickly, looking for patterns and taking answers from that information and that data. And it does it in such a quick manner. So it's way more information that it processes than any human ever could. And from that, we get great results. I mean, of course, there are a few caveats to that, which we'll talk about as well, because AI is still in its infancy. Sometimes the data coming out is not perfect, but we'll get into how you can adjust for that and compensate for it while it is still being developed out there. So, but it's just like having a super smart friend who can go through a huge pile of Legos and literally find the piece that you want. That is what AI is totally all about. So I like to say this, it is not just a tool, it 100% is rocket fuel for your productivity. So, the idea behind AI is that it's meant to remove a lot of the stuff off your plate. Like, as real estate agents, we we wear so many hats all the time, especially for the newer people getting into the business. You're a psychologist one day, you're a salesperson the next day, you're doing all sorts of tasks. And really, what it is AI can help take some of those things off your plate, give you back more time so that you can do all the super important things that you do, which is the face to face with clients, it's the lead generation. And AI can help with that stuff. We're not going to be talking specifically about AI and lead gen today, but if you do have questions about that, I'm definitely happy to answer anything because there are tools that can be used right now within your CRMs that can hook up to that stuff. But that's for another day. But again, this is all about making you a more productive agent by taking just those small things that you're spending a ridiculous amount of time on and making those simple tasks. So when you embrace AI, you become way more productive. You are more efficient, more adaptable for what's going on in the marketplace. You are increasingly data driven and you are more knowledgeable, which is even more important because the more knowledge you have to impart, the better you can communicate with your clients and your customers, and the more value you can bring them. And if anything has been taught to us this year, it is all about positioning our value for both sellers and buyers. And that's going to be a continuing theme probably for the next 5 years in the real estate industry is understanding your value and communicating it. And part of that is knowledge. So that's where AI can really, really help you gain that leg up. So let's start with the first one, which is what can you use AI for? Now, this next slide, you'll see there's all sorts of things that we can use AI for. And this just isn't with ChatGPT, this is a bunch of other stuff. So, lots of people, when they talk about AI and real estate, they're like, well, you can write your listing descriptions. Okay, well, that's great. That's really surface base level stuff. Yes, you can do that, but you can do so much more. You can be practicing scripts with something like ChatGPT. So if you were going into a listing presentation and you were a little bit nervous about it and weren't sure, what kinds of questions the owners might ask or how to answer them, you can actually role play with ChatGPT and it will deliver you answers that you can study and actually work with. It can give you video topics. So if you're like, oh my God, I love to do video and I'd love to put more content out there, but you know what? I just don't know what kind of topics to write about. Well, ChatGPT could easily deliver you tens of thousands of topics and scripts for them so that you actually never have to think about what you're videoing again. Like, amazing in that regard. So, letters. So, if you've got letters to be putting out to clients, whether those be emails or Christmas letters, newsletters. So, I know that Allie was working on a newsletter this past week, and it takes her a fair amount of time. But with the addition of AI, boom, those things can be done pretty much instantaneously and have little to no review time, which means, again, you're freed up to do a ton of other stuff. You can pimp your profile. So that's across all of your social media. If you need a revamp on your website, there's video editing that can be done, which we'll take a look at. Lead prospecting, which I touched on earlier, which we won't really go into here, but AI can prospect for your leads. It can do language translation. So if you were sitting in a meeting with a client and maybe their English isn't perfect, you just pop open an AI app. As you're talking, it converts what you're saying into another language so that person can understand you perfectly. Like, how amazing is that for showing your true value in a listing presentation? Language translation is just such a huge thing, especially in a multicultural place like Vancouver. So, team trainings can be done this way: website revamping, rewording, data analysis, question gathering, downloadables for if you're doing giveaways on your social media, quizzes, SEO, marketing, client retention, document analysis. Like, the list goes on. And this is just top top level of what can be done for your business right now that removes a crazy amount of your personal time when you're actually going to do this stuff. I mean, how many people have gone and produced a newsletter and it taken at least a day? Yeah, yeah, no, totally eliminated now. It makes such a huge difference when you can actually do this. So trust me, this is the way of the future. You can get back time by doing all of this stuff. So, number two, there are a couple of rules that we do have to follow with AI, and there's three major ones that make such a huge difference. And it really does bode well to listen and to follow them. So, number one, AI, whatever it comes back as, should always be your first draft. So, whatever you're putting into ChatGPT, remember, there's probably somebody else putting their same thing into ChatGPT. So, whatever the same question might be. So, in that case, you may want to revise it, add your personal voice to it. Maybe it's your tone. So, to finesse it in such a way that you get exactly what you're looking for. Obviously, if you if you've ever gotten an email in the last little bit and you're like, man, that sure doesn't sound like Sally. It might have been thrown into ChatGPT and she was just looking for an answer, right? So AI should be considered your first draft. And we can go through some of that and how to tailor that as well. Always double check your facts. So if you're uploading data into something like ChatGPT for the program to actually go and analyze it, at that point in time, you want to just double check that the numbers are all correct when it spits it back out to you, because there have been known cases where it hasn't been quite right. And sometimes ChatGPT, if it's given a little bit of leeway, will make stuff up as well to fit the narrative that it's looking to do. And we can also talk about how we mitigate that. But it's always good to double check your facts and what you're putting in. So, and then number three is implement the spend money to save time mindset. Now, in this particular case, a lot of the AI programs out there cost a little bit a month. So it's like $20 here, $20 here, $20 here, which does tend to add up, right? So when you're at the end of the year and you're looking over your budget, you're like, oh my God, there is an absolute ridiculous amount of $20 items here, and it may cost you a lot. But if it's saving you time, you have to take that mindset and make sure that you're evaluating it for that. So it is, we'll see some of the programs that we're going to look at cost a little bit of money, anywhere from $20 a month to 100, but it really does depend on how much time you're getting back to if you see that value. All right. Just quickly before I do anything else, anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself if that's the case. Mm, all right. We're motoring along. Great. So let's just talk a little bit about some very, very basic products, because that's going to be the easiest way to do this. And I wanted to really start ideally with a couple of easy ones. So ChatGPT, you probably all heard of it. Has everybody heard of it? Just a hands up on the screens. Okay, a couple of people haven't. Interesting. So we'll get to that. Canva. Anybody using Canva out there? Familiar? Okay. All right. Highnote.io. We're using it. I know Robbie's using it. Anyone? Okay. And then has anybody heard of Otter AI? No? It's a transcribing one? No? Okay. Interesting. Well, we're going to go through a couple of these things. Great. So, first and foremost, let's talk about ChatGPT itself. So, ChatGPT is super cool. So, it's like a really smart robot, again, that can help talk and write like a human. So, you can have conversations with ChatGPT, like I was mentioning before, if you were looking to do scripts and whatnot. And then it can also speak different languages. It can help with a ton of different things. So it's a super helpful assistant to get a lot of your stuff done in a short period of time. And a lot of the pieces that I had on that previous slide with the list of all the different things that you can do, a lot of those can be done in Chat GPT. And every day they're expanding with more and more that you can do. So what I wanted to do quickly is I want to jump in and open up another screen and actually get into ChatGPT really quickly so you can see a little bit about what I'm talking about before we actually get into prompts. So I'm just going to stop sharing. I'm going to jump in. We're going to do, here we go. Can everyone see my ChatGPT screen now? Yes, awesome, sweet. So this is basically the homepage. Down the left-hand side, these are all the different explorations that I've done within ChatGPT, asking about AI and functionalities. Maybe it's prompts that I'm looking for all sorts of things. So, and what I've done specifically here is I've got it today, so we can start a post right away. Like start a question right away with ChatGPT. So I want ChatGPT down here to create an SEO optimized blog post detailing 5 enticing reasons that make Vancouver the preferred destination for people relocating from Calgary. Write the post from the point of view of an enthusiastic tour guide in the tone of James Tiberius Kirk. Make the post at least 3 paragraphs long and don't use any bullet points. I'm just gonna press go. And so I personally have the point four version. Uh-oh. Oh no, I don't know what's happening there. That's bizarre. There we go. So this is the upgraded version of ChatGPT. So there is no waiting around. I pay for this. Oh, sorry. Was there a question? No. So I pay for this version. And what it does is it gives me access to be able to put these prompts in all the time. There's very few limitations on it. At the paid version, there's other things that you can do as well, like other accesses to Dolly E and a couple of other really cool AI things. So basically, it's going through and it's just telling us right now it's giving us this blog post, which is kind of neat, and it's just writing it, and I don't have to pay any attention to what I'm doing. It's just doing this. So once a blog post like this is spit out, then I would go back. If there's things that I wanted to take out or to add to it, then I could just prompt Chat GPT again to maybe add a couple of things or remove some stuff. And maybe it was because this looks like it's going to come out very much so the splendor awaits you, the all of these interesting fun things, but it may not have anything to do with the price or the cost of living, which people might want to know about. So we may want to add some of those in depending on what your blog post was for. But this gives you an idea. It just keeps writing. So we'll get into quickly the prompts as well and how to actually create them for something like this, because it's kind of important that, when you're doing this, that you're pretty specific. So, like I said, in my actual prompt, I wanted it to be an SEO optimized blog. So I had to give it what it was. I wanted to detail 5 reasons. So I gave it parameters that make Vancouver a perfect destination for people relocating from Calgary. So it has what it's supposed to be writing on. And the post from the point of view of. So I can say, I wanted it to be an enthusiastic tour guide. The tone, you could choose a tone for absolutely anything and have it be James Tiberius Kirk. You can choose it to be like you could train Chat GPT to understand your tone when you talk in videos by uploading those into Chat GPT so that it can assess them. So you can say in Rhiannon Foster's tone, or you could say, if you had a bunch of videos of Michael Library and you loaded them in, you could have Michael's tone of voice and it would do all of that as well. And then we just want to make these things as specific as possible when going through this. Does anybody have any questions about this part of Chat GPT while we're looking at it, or no? Excellent. I love it. When you guys all don't have questions, makes it so much easier. All right, so back to prompts themselves. So I do have 100 Chat GPT prompts that I'm happy to share with everybody. It's from another girl that is pretty high up and does a lot of real estate related stuff. And if you are interested in having those because you think that Chat GPT is something that you're going to use, please send me an email And that would be lovely. I can definitely 100% send those out to you. They're pretty awesome for just getting a real basic idea of what you're looking at. So here's some ideas, like I said. So a lot of people will look at when they're prompting for ideas, they'll create an SEO. So they'll give it a little bit of background for something like ChatGPT to work with, but then we want to again create it so that it's far more detailed. So the original post that I was looking at said create an SEO optimized. So you insert whatever platform you're using. So this could be Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be, poster or video detailing five enticing reasons that make your city a preferred destination for people relocating from whatever feeder market. So, and you can see where I've refined everything and I've added a bunch of stuff to give it far more detail. Because the one thing that is 100% true about all of these AI learning models is that it is garbage in, garbage out. If you give it a small shitty prompt, you are going to get a shitty answer. That is 100% the case. If you want something detailed and you want it to be far more engaging, then you need to put in more information. And that 100% goes for all the things we're talking about, especially to do with real estate. So if you're looking for ChatGPT to write your listing descriptions, you have to be very descriptive about what all the features and maybe the benefits are of the property for it to be able to turn you a wicked listing description. Questions? Here's some stuff going on. No? Okay. But does everybody get
I have
that?
a question.
Yeah. Talk to me, Robbie.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I find maybe I say too much to chat GDP. Cheap. Oh my gosh. Can you help me with that? Or
So what do you mean by say too much? You give it too much information?
sometimes I will say I want like I'll mention everything about okay, for example, I put in the stats and it kind of just regurgitated them back at me almost when I wanted it to, maybe because I'm using the free version.
Yeah. So a couple of things there. So obviously the 3.5 version doesn't have quite the same capabilities as the 4. So there'll probably be a bit of a discrepancy there. And it depends on what you asked it to do, right? So if you just said analyze it for something, for days on market trends or what kind of trend lines you were looking for, you would also be able to, like, because what chat gpt is, it can take a whole huge amount of data and then you can create bar graphs from it, and plot it along an xy axis. So it really does depend on what you're trying to get from the actual data. You have to be very clear about what the end result is. Just putting in a table of numbers will probably not get you what you're wanting, and probably actually not be enough information because you're not asking it for detailed answers. Does that make sense?
Yes, I know exactly what I did now,
Okay. Yeah.
or
Good.
like where to fix it.
Yeah, it makes a big difference to be able to add those pieces because, again, like I said, garbage in, garbage out. You put in just a very basic, could be a basic table of numbers. And if you're not asking it to analyze it in a very specific way with a specific outcome, then you won't be returned the information that you're truly looking for. That all makes sense to everybody? Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Robbie. That's a great question because it does make a huge difference no matter what you're looking at, whether it's data or what it might be. All right. Cool. So those are some ideas for prompts. So if you're interested, again, those 100 basic prompts, I do have those. Don't forget, they're actually pretty great. And again, they're basic ones, so you would have to add to them, but they'll help with video scripts. They'll 100% help with blog posts and all sorts of amazing things. So it's well worth it. Number 2. So let's talk about AI and some simple posts because it can be a little bit challenging to create the ad copy that goes with stuff, or just even the images and whatnot that are done with that are to go along with your social media posts and stuff like that. So a lot of people will know that I use Canva for a ton of stuff. So again, this presentation was done in Canva. Canva actually just released a pretty awesome upgrade, and so it's called Magic. And what it does is it employs AI throughout the entire process of through the entire process itself when coming to creating all of this jazz. So I want to just open Canva Magic Studio to show you just a quick video of what can be done, because it does make a bit of a difference when you're designing this stuff. And Canva can be very, very helpful when you're looking for ideas or you're looking for something different. Now, I know that we all have access to the stuff in the back end of the Century 21, but sometimes you need something that represents your brand a little bit different, or that represents the property that you're trying to sell a little bit differently. So it can be very helpful to have something secondary to work with. So I'm just going to pop this guy open right now. So this is just a quick video about what Magic Studio itself can do. Can we all see the Magic Studio video? Hands up. Yep, great, awesome. We'll just run.
Can anybody else hear this?
No audio, no audio.
Oh well, it's just a song.
Why don't we pause that because we can't hear it?
It's just a song, right? It doesn't really say anything, but the idea is that it really goes through all of the additional things that Magic can do. So just with single prompts, it can create you full presentations. It can create you entire um, uh, video blogs, posts, and everything else. It can adjust all your videos. It can edit them. It can do a ton of things just with a couple of clicks. Whereas previously, you would have had to use a couple of different programs to be able to do it. Now you can do it directly within the actual program, which is actually kind of nice. I apologize. It was just a song in the background, so it wasn't really as important as some of the other stuff. But yeah, here. So let me go back quickly to my presenter window, and we'll talk a little bit about Canva. And actually, I think we'll just go straight to Add Creative, which is actually a little bit cooler. So if for some reason people, because I know that people out there can be a little bit overwhelmed when you get into a program like Canva, you're like, oh my God, where do I start? There's too many options. It's easy in those cases to actually look at doing something a little bit different and using something like Add Creative. So can everybody see my Add Creative screen so far? Yep. So Add Creative is a little bit different. So I've gone ahead and set this whole thing up. So basically I've put my brand in here, my Opportunity Homes Collective. It's got my information, which is my logo and everything else that's ready to go. You can see I've created some projects here. It was a test one for a buyer, but we're going to go ahead and generate one. So what we want to do is we want to do a social creative, right? We want to choose what we're going to do it for. So let's say meta portrait size. So it gives us all of the actual inputs that we need. I can put my headline here. Um, uh, uh, First time home buyers. Oops, I can't spell today. Mm, get your free guide. Mm. So you can put all your calls to action here. It's going to ask you about the stuff, and then it's just going to walk you through the steps that you need. If you want to add background images from the libraries, if you want to search images, so let's say home buyer. Oops. It'll give you all sorts of interesting things that come up. Oops. Sorry about that. So obviously there are certain ones that don't cost money that do. Let's just use that. And then I'm just on the free trial of this one, which is pretty neat. I like a little bit more control with my stuff, but basically it goes through and it adds all of the images into posts that are all pre-done. And then you can just hit create. And then basically what the AI does is it goes through everything. It takes the background images that you want. It wants information from your brand category. So you upload your website in there and get it all squared away so that it understands your brand. You create information in the actual brand strategy that also qualifies what your your target clients are. And so now you can see what this whole AI has done is it's produced a boatload of these engagement posts. And what you can see is right up here, it says engagement score 100 out of 100. So these particular ads have been tested and have been tracked through the internet. So it'll actually tell you which ones you can use to get better engagement, and you can download those ones instead of going through and having to, I don't know, maybe do A/B testing like we used to do. You can already know that these ones are set and are going to give you the best responses. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to put any other effort into it, Ad Creative is probably a really good, simple way of doing that. It's a free trial to start. You get credits so that when you download these, I think it costs a credit a piece, and you can obviously upgrade from there so that you can buy credits and then have an actual strategy around what you want to do for this stuff. So it's really it's interesting, it's different, and it's fast. So for a lot of people, it does make a huge difference in being able to do that. Any questions with that so far?
Yeah, I have a question, Rhiannon.
Yeah, of course.
When you click that guide, it said first time home buyer, and you click the guide thing. What happened?
Yeah, so if you'd have to take that piece and the copy itself, you can specifically for this load everything in so that your social networks are all loaded into the program, and at which point in time it will push that out. So if you have a buyer guide very specifically, there's a section in that creation section to actually insert where the guide is. So if you're housing it on your website and that's where you want them to go to enter their information because you've got a pop-up window on your website, that's what you would do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, by the way, anybody who wants a home buyer's got to have one. All the basic guys got one, so good way to put it out there.
Yeah, and so for stuff like that, interestingly enough, again, if you were looking to create a home buyer's guide or something along those lines, again, that is something that Magic in Canva can take care for you, can take care of for you, and you would literally just type in looking to produce a first-time home buyer's guide, and it will give you all of the information and produce you a guide that you can go in and change the photos on if you wanted to. So, which is kind of an interesting thing. Again, it's just taking all of the extra steps off your plate so you never have to think about doing them, and it's really fast. Of course, though, you do have to be careful because sometimes some of this can be a little bit of a rabbit hole if you're not careful, because you can be like, oh my God, look at all this amazing stuff that I'm getting to do all the time. So that's just one thing. I'm just going to double check. I'm going to roll through a couple of other things really fast. I wanted to talk about Opus Clip, and I'm going to share my screen again so you can see this piece. And so this is into the video editing section of things, which is slightly different. So here we go. Opus Clip. So what this is basically we're turning long form video. So it could be that you've done a long form market update. It's maybe 4 or 5 minutes long. And that update, what you want to do is you want to parcel it out into smaller bits without having to go through all of the hassle of like cutting it yourself, trying to find the right minutes, and then uploading captions and everything. So what Opus Clip does is it will do it for you, everything the whole way, and then gives you scores so that it tells you a little bit more about how these sections grab attention when they actually parcel them out. So is it attention grabbing? Does it have good structure? It will talk to you about that. And what it does is that it ends up adding all of your captions as well. So this was just one of the videos that I did, which was one of my regular market updates. And then it went through and it cut everything into these tiny little clips so that I can schedule them right away. So I can put them on TikTok, IG, LinkedIn, because it's all connected. Or of course, I could download them and do them on my own and upload them as shorts to YouTube, whatever I wanted to do. But I really like this because it changes, like, again, it takes a massive amount of work to put together a really great market update or a really great video for a new property. But this gives you all of your short clips without having to do anything extra, which is super great because it's super, super fast. Those were, because I'm running out of time, sorry about that, the big high level things that I really wanted to cover today. And again, there's a lot more in-depth information that goes into AI. And just quickly, I did want to, can you see my new screen, the Elevate screen? Right on. So I wanted to go into this quickly. I am speaking with Cameron Von Clee, who is the owner broker over at Creekside, which is out in Chilliwack. So, and he's in the Century 21 network. He's got a coaching company. It's called Elevate Coaching. They're doing their success series seminar, which is December 5th. And I'm speaking on AI specifically for that. And the specific stuff in AI that I'm talking about are how to use AI to enhance your listing presentation. So at the beginning part in your research phase and all of that, and then how to use AI in a listing presentation so that you look like an absolute god and you are ahead of the game. Because again, one of the things that we do know is it is going to be more challenging over the next little bit to get those listings because there's going to be less of them out there. I mean, even though we're finally seeing some increase in inventory, it's still well below averages. And what we really need to be doing is honing in our specific skills to be able to, when we get in front of sellers, to be the one that they choose. So as a bonus, Cameron's putting together this event. And so he's going to be talking about, how much you're worth per hour, a breakdown of your buyer and seller profiles, evaluating prospects that get the highest results from you, like going into your 2024 business plan with some actual steam. And again, I'll be talking on AI very specifically on the other side, which is the AI side. So that's all you get today. Any questions?
That was great. That was, yeah, an eye opener.
I have a question.
Any questions?
Robbie does.
Okay.
I saw Elevate was from 9 to 3.
Correction.
How do we register to that?
I can send the link to Angel, and Angel can make sure to send it to the whole office and then to post it in the chat. Yeah,
She's
it's
doing it.
great.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Yeah,
Anybody
Rhiannon,
else have
Sunny
any-
here. Is the open clip part of the Canva, like Magic Studio, or no?
No, Opus Clip is totally different. So it's a separate one altogether. Magic doesn't have the same capabilities that Opus has. Opus is really tailored towards so the Canva version that they do have will snippet stuff out, but it won't give you it doesn't really have the same capability to extract the most important information and give you a rating for it as well, to like give you more in-depth information. And I just find that the Opus Clip, just the way it's all put together, is far more intuitive and useful than the stuff in Magic right now. I mean, Magic could change down the road, but The magic stuff in Canva was literally just released. So, and then just to quickly, just one other thing, there are other language models out there besides ChatGPT, but they are not available in Canada. So if someone's ever talking to you about Claude or Bard and they're like, oh, well, what about these ones? Well, they don't exist here. And there's some of them that will never because of the way the Canadian government has set things up. So just a side note. Oliver.
Does the premium version of Canva just include magic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, all there, all ready to go. Yeah, it's well worth it, right? It unlocks all, like, getting the premium version, it unlocks everything, so you have access to all their video clips. So if you're looking for a specific video of Vancouver, they probably have it, right? And you can use those for any of your actual social media stuff that you're building in there.
Can I ask a question? With they have the add-ons with ChatGPT, or they're called have you ever used like the Excel spreadsheets to clean up like a database or like to make it all, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so not all of them are created equal. They are in the process of turning some of those over and
Yeah.
stopping access for a couple of things. The Excel file stuff, there are other AI programs out there that can clean up an Excel file that will probably be better suited to it than ChatGPT would. But that's just my personal experience. The ChatGPT is okay for it, but they have AI specific bots that will go through and clean up Excel data in a much better Excel access data in a much better fashion.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
AI just gets like goes so many different avenues. It's like I would love to do like a workshop and just like learn how to use all these apps and everything, because it's like you get into it and there's it's so much, right?
Yeah. And again, like
Yeah,
I said,
gotta take time.
Yeah, the whole thing right now is, again, it is because it's the Wild West. There's so many things being developed. There's a couple of standouts right now, like the ones we covered. Lots of things are adding AI into their programs. Like Robbie and I use High Note, and that one specifically, they just added a whole section of AI, so you can literally Google a presentation that you want to put together in that, and it'll come through. And it'll take time to sort of weed out some of the stuff, but this is just like when we got our phones and
Yeah.
apps were first a thing. And all of a sudden, you remember you had a bajillion apps all on your phone. You had one for absolutely everything. And then you're like, oh, I only need like 20 of these, right?
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
filling it down into what you need. So
Yeah.
it will take some time, but most important things are, the most important elements are, how can you gain back efficiencies? So if you're working within video production, that's an easy one because there's so many of them. And things like, I should never, ever, ever see anybody in the office ever have listing photos that aren't virtually staged, because literally you can do it on your phone.
Yeah.
Like literally. And anybody who's that ridiculous as to not have staged photos really needs to give their head a shake, because the app costs less than $3 and you can do it for
Which one are you using for that one? Because I've tried a couple
Yeah.
different ones before.
Yeah.
Which one do you find the best?
So
They're all not created equal.
Yeah, so I am actually on an Android, so my stuff is a little bit different. So right now
Same here.
I've got Stager AI, which is my personal favorite, and then I use Remodel AI, which for if you have a house that looks a little bit decrepit, or it needs a full renovation inside, you can take that photo and it will redesign the entire interior for you in a different format.
Okay.
So are you now switching to virtual staging, or do you still do the old school?
Depends on the property, to be quite honest, right? So if there is so obviously for anything luxury, 100% it's got to be fully staged, because that's a very different ball game. But then if you're looking at a 1-bedroom condo, you need to get it up on the market fast. It might be well worth it to do it that way, depending on what your market conditions are, who the buyer is, and everything else.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys for attending. We will cut and paste this one up to edit and send it out to everybody. that attended and or who missed it. That was really great content, Rhiannon, and I appreciate your time, really do. I owe you a glass of wine somewhere. How's that? Okay, have a good week. Call me if you need me. Look forward to seeing you in the office.